Today, we're digging into something pretty smart, a solution for a challenge lots of people face, trying to study in the USA. You know, the dream often hits a wall with visas, difficult appointments, long waits, high refusal rates sometimes. It's where things often stall out.
It's a huge barrier, absolutely, a real bottleneck. But what's fascinating looking at our source material is this alternative pathway. It's not just different, it's actually a smarter way, a sequence that kind of de-risks the whole thing. You still aim for that US degree, but you start somewhere unexpected, somewhere much, much easier for international students.
Okay, that sounds intriguing. Almost like a workaround. So what is this pathway? The source calls it the American Degree Transfer Program, or ADP. How does that work?
It's quite clever, really. The idea is you spend your first 2 years studying at Taylor's University, that's in Malaysia. And it's not just any program, it's set up to mirror the American education style. Same curriculum approach, teaching methods, everything. So you're prepped for a US university environment. Then, after those 2 years, you transfer directly to a top university in the US to finish your degree.
Ah, okay. So it's integrated, not just like waiting around. It's actual foundational coursework. What makes Taylor's program stand out then? Are the study options limited?
No, not at all. You've got choices, business, engineering, computer science, even liberal arts. Pretty broad. But here's the really striking part, the bit that makes you go, wow, the success rate. 87% of Taylor's ADP students successfully transfer to prestigious U.S. universities.
87%, that's huge.
And we're talking big names, Michigan, Purdue, Ohio State, and, get this, even Ivy League schools. Cornell, Columbia are mentioned.
Seriously, Ivy League.
Exactly.
So this path genuinely opens doors.
It really does. And the entry requirements, surprisingly accessible, just an O-level or GED equivalent. Basically, a high school diploma. You don't need A-levels.
Okay, wait. 87% transfer rate, including Ivies, without needing A-levels. That's impressive. So what's the magic behind it? Is the academic quality truly comparable? How are they prepping students so well?
Well, it seems to be a combination of things. First, the curriculum is specifically designed so credits transfer smoothly to U.S. universities. That's key. Second, the teaching style at Taylor's critical thinking, participation, project work, it mirrors the U.S. classroom. So the transition isn't such a shock. And honestly, their track record speaks for itself. U.S. universities know Taylor's ADP students are well prepared.
Right, reputation builds trust. Okay, that makes sense academically. But here's where I think it gets really interesting for a lot of our listeners, the cost and the visa process. How does this Malaysian route compare on those fronts? Because those are often the biggest hurdles.
Exactly. And this is where the strategy really pays off. Studying directly in the U.S., easily $50,000 a year, sometimes more. But the source says studying at Taylor's in Malaysia, it's nearly 50% less.
50%, wow.
Yeah, it even mentions it's cheaper than many private universities, for example, in Bangladesh. Think about that saving. Less debt pressure right from the start.
Huge financial difference.
Yeah.
Okay, and the visa,
Yeah.
the part everyone dreads.
Complete game changer. Compared to the U.S. process, the stress, the uncertainty, the Malaysian student visa is described as, well, 100% guaranteed.
100% guaranteed, right?
That's the claim. No long waits, no embassy pressure. Plus, you don't need the hefty bank statement or sponsor that the U.S. often requires. And IELTS is optional too.
Okay, hold on. No bank statement, no sponsor, IELTS optional, and it's guaranteed. That removes like almost all the usual visa stress.
Pretty much. You bypass that entire initial U.S. visa hurdle.
So let's connect the dots. You get the same American-style education for the first 2 years. You save a significant amount of money, maybe half. You avoid the incredibly stressful U.S. visa application at the beginning. And then you transfer to a top U.S. university, often with a very high success rate, to finish the exact same degree you wanted initially.
Exactly. Less stress, more savings, and a higher likelihood of actually getting there. You postpone the U.S. visa application until you've already got 2 years of solid academic work under your belt from a recognized program. Makes you a stronger candidate later, too. And the source also mentions support services help with admissions, visas, even scholarships for this route. Makes it feel less daunting.
Right. So the takeaway seems pretty clear that if you're aiming for a U.S. degree but hitting that visa wall, or just worried about it, don't let it stop you. This deep dive shows there's a really clever alternative path, a strategic detour almost.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Like about navigating global education generally. What does this kind of pathway tell us about finding unconventional routes? About looking beyond the obvious tiers? It suggests that sometimes the smartest strategies aren't the most direct ones. Maybe it's about finding smarter, more accessible ways to reach the same goal. Something to mull over.